If you are looking for a gaming PC that can deliver really good performance at 1440p for a reasonable price, you came to the right video. I will show you an $800 gaming PC build that will deliver excellent performance for the price, and don't worry if you're new to gaming PCs, I will explain each component and I will also explain what these PCs are capable of running, and at the end I will give you different alternatives for this PC build in case you want to spend a bit extra or maybe you want to stay under $800. For that reason, I do recommend you staying until the end of the video. You will have all of these components mentioned on this video down below in the video description. That being said, let's start. With the CPU, we have the AMD Ryzen 5 5600 going for $140 on Amazon. This CPU is a 6-core 12-thread processor that is going to give you really good performance for both 1080p and 1440p resolution, also 4K depending on the GPU you pair this CPU with, and it's going to be enough for our GPU on this video, which is what you're looking for on a gaming CPU. You're looking for a CPU that will not bottleneck your GPU. Overall, a great CPU for the price. For the motherboard, we have the Gigabyte B550M, the S3H Micro ATX motherboard. This is nothing crazy, but it's going to get the job done for this CPU, and it's going for only $108, and you get enough features for gaming. For that reason, this is the best option in my opinion on a budget build like this one. For the memory kit, we have the Silicon Power Gaming 16GB of RAM 2x8 of DDR4 at 3200 MHz. It's only going for $30, which is the cheapest I've ever seen on 16GB of RAM at this speed, and it's the standard for gaming nowadays. You can go for 32GB of RAM, but it's not going to make a difference for gaming. It's just going to make a difference if you want to start streaming or you want to do a lot of multitasking. Then for the storage, we have the MSI M461 1TB of Gen 4 SSD going for only $45. Honestly, you can get cheaper SSDs for around $5 or $6 less, but it wouldn't make sense since this is Gen 4 and it has really high speeds. However, it's not going to make a difference for gaming, but if you're going to be transferring a bunch of files, this is going to make a difference, and to be honest, the price difference, it's just very small. Then for the graphics card and the most important part on a gaming PC, we have the PowerColor RX 6700 XT. This one is a great 1440p GPU that performs like the RTX 3060 Ti if you wanted an Nvidia comparison. However, this one has 12GB of VRAM and the RTX 3060 Ti has 8GB of VRAM, which is becoming a problem for 1440p and let alone 4K gaming. For that reason, the 6700 XT in my opinion is a much better option for the price, going for $350. And you can run basically every single game at 1440p without any issues. You can also use this for 1080p high FPS gaming, so if you want a 1080p 240 or even 360Hz monitor, feel free to buy one since this PC is going to be a good pair. For the case, I picked the Thermaltake B250TG ARGB. This one is going for $80. It has great airflow with the front mesh panel, 3 fans pre-installed on the front and 1 pre-installed fan on the back. Just keep in mind that the back fan is non-RGB. That being said, if you want an extra RGB fan for the back and replace that one, it's going to cost you around $12 to $15. Last but not least, the power supply, we have the Cooler Master G600 600W 80+ gold power supply. This is B-tier rated, meaning that it's really good quality for this type of build, and it's only going for $65 at the moment because it's on sale. The total price for this system by the time that I'm recording this video is $817. Maybe when you're watching this it's even cheaper, or maybe it's a bit more expensive. If it's more expensive, I would recommend you downgrading the storage to 500 gigs to keep the price of this PC around $800 or so. But I do recommend you checking the links in the description for you to see the exact price by the time that you're watching this video. On the screen right now, you're able to see the estimated average FPS for different titles. A really good PC build for 1440p at this price point. Now, if you want a cheaper system that will deliver basically the same performance, then I do recommend you going for the i3 13100F and the Gigabyte B660M, the S3H AX for the motherboard. Now, don't worry if you get lost, you will have all the links for these alternatives as well in the video description. And this system is going to perform really similar to the other system, maybe just slightly worse because the i3 13100F is not as powerful as the 5600 for gaming. However, like I said before, it's not a big difference, and the total price for this system will be around $770. The good thing about this one is that you can upgrade to, let's say, the i5 13600K if you want, or even the i9 13900K. However, I would not recommend you doing that with this motherboard. If you want a future-proof motherboard where you can put any 13th gen CPU, I'll give you another alternative down below with better VRMs for the future. But with this motherboard, upgrading to something like the i5 13400F in the future is definitely possible. Now, if you even want to make this PC cheaper, like I said before, I would recommend you downgrading the storage and getting 500 gigs of SSD, especially if you're not going to download a bunch of games. However, if you're thinking of getting a bunch of games, I wouldn't recommend you doing this downgrade. If you do it, you will be saving around 15 bucks or so. Now, for the same price of the first PC build, you can mix some components up and get a slightly different PC that is going to give you slightly better performance with the RX 6750 XT instead of the RX 6700 XT, and this one has the i3 13100F, the Gigabyte B660M motherboard to support that CPU, and then you have a different case in the Antec NX320 because it's cheaper, and the Cooler Master G700 700W 80 plus volt power supply for the RX 6750 XT. It's not going to be a huge upgrade over the 6700 XT. I would say it's like an overclocked version of the 6700 XT, but if you want that slightly extra performance on your GPU for the same price, you can go with this one. Honestly, both the first one and this one are going to give you about the same performance. Overall, any of these PCs, even the cheapest one, is going to be amazing for 1440p gaming or 1080p high FPS for the price. If you want a Prebuilt PC instead because you don't want to build it yourself, I recommend you this Forge Gladiator on Amazon going for 800 bucks with the i3 10100F and the RX 6600 alongside 1TB of SSD and 16 gigs of RAM with great airflow on the case. Once again, if you don't know anything about computers, it's not going to be better than the PC build, and I wouldn't recommend you buying this one for 1440p gaming. However, it's capable of some 1440p gaming, but I would recommend you buying this one for 1080p. You will be achieving high FPS at 1080p as well for the same price, and you don't have to build it yourself. You will also have the link to this Prebuilt PC down below. And if you have a total different budget, let's say you have $1,500 or $3,000, I recommend you clicking the top link in the description where I will help you out personally with your PC depending on your needs and your budget just by answering a couple questions. And if you're looking for a Prebuilt PC with a total different budget, you can of course go to that link as well, but you can also watch my video about the best Prebuilt PCs of the month for every single budget. Thank you guys for watching, thank you for the support, and I will see you on the next one.